Hello, wonderful women. Welcome back to the Nourish by Claudia channel. And today we're going to discuss once again about how to support your bone health. And we're going to do it from a very holistic standpoint, meaning that I'm going to look at a way to stimulate the bone remodeling process, but also ways to increase strength, prevent falls, and boost your overall well-being, mental and physical. And make sure to stick till the end if you want to find out a couple of steps that are often missed and never discussed when it comes to bone prevention. For example, I asked them to my doctor and he had no idea of what I was talking about. But before I do so, before I go ahead and discuss all of these tips, make sure that you follow my channel, just give me a thumb up, give me a like, make sure that you subscribe because that's going to help me tremendously to keep sharing all these free resources on YouTube, on all the channels where you're finding this video from. So without further ado, let's discuss bone health. Okay, so supporting the bone health is especially important when you don't have a period, as missing periods can lead to decreased estrogen levels, which is possibly why you have hypothalamic amenorrhea in the first place. And estrogen is vital for maintaining bone density. So we are going to discuss some key strategies when it comes to nutrition, supplements, exercise, and more in terms of how to make sure that you do whatever you can to support your bone health, even though you don't have a period, or you're just waiting for your period, or you have been in recovery for more than 5 months. So first of all, I really would like to recommend you to start introducing calcium-rich foods. And whenever I say calcium-rich foods, the first thing that can pop to mind is normally milk from the campaign that was advertised 20 years ago, Got Milk. But yes, it's absolutely true. You can find calcium-rich foods in dairy. So, for example, milk, yogurt, and cheese. But there are also lots of non-dairy foods that are rich in calcium, such as leafy greens, kale and broccoli, almonds, tofu, fortified plant-based milk, such as almond and soy. And maybe the absorption of some of those non-dairy calcium-rich foods can be slightly lower compared to dairy foods. But if you don't want to eat dairy, or if you have a dairy intolerance, always go for the non-dairy foods. The second one is definitely vitamin D. You can find it in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, egg yolks, fortified foods like cereal, orange juices, which are not my favorite things, but they do sometimes contain vitamin D. But the best thing that you can do is actually sun exposure. So aiming for 10 to 30 minutes of sunlight exposure a few times a week. And obviously use sunscreen to protect your skin after the initial exposure, especially if you live a country like mine, Australia, where it's very, very hot, at least 8 months a year. Magnesium is another big one. You can find it in nuts and seeds. So for example, pumpkin seeds and almonds, legumes, whole grain, leafy green veggies, and magnesium is used in more than 300 enzymatic reactions in the body. So you definitely need to include it. Magnesium is the first mineral that gets peed out or sweat out when you are under a lot of stress, when you're sleep deprived, when you're not eating enough, when you're training, when you're living in a polluted environment, when there are so many things going on, and once you age. So definitely make sure that you get magnesium into your diet and through supplements, but we are going to discuss supplements in a second. Another one is phosphorus. You can find it in meat, dairy products, but also whole grains, and once again, nuts and seeds in minimal sources. Protein. So adequate protein intake is crucial for bone health. And I feel for this topic a lot, because for the longest time I was following a vegetarian diet. I was vegan for a while and I didn't pay that much attention to protein, because I was thinking, okay, as long as I'm eating an anti-inflammatory diet, and as long as I'm getting enough nutrients into my diet, everything is gonna go well. But the reality is that I missed the importance of protein, muscle strength, and also bone restructuring. So make sure to aim for at least 30 grams of protein with each and every meal. So for example, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I normally say you can also get 1.5 grams of proteins per kilo's body weight, and it's approximately 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So let's say that you are 120 pounds, you would need 120 grams of proteins per day. And it's better to divide your protein through the day. So instead of having just 10 in the morning, 20 at lunchtime, and then 17 at nighttime, I really would encourage you to get the 30, 30, and 30 throughout the day, and then maybe you can get 10 in the mid-morning snack and 10 in the afternoon snack, so that you can get protein throughout the day, not all at once, because that's going to decrease the absorption and the viability of it, bioavailability of the protein. You can obviously find it in lean meats, poultry, fish, but also beans, lentils, tofu, and dairy product. Just a word that I would like to share: peanut butter is not really a source of protein, and not even is cheese, so they're more fatty than protein dense. So if you're thinking that you're getting enough protein because you're eating a lot of peanut butter and cheese, I really would like you to reevaluate this belief. And then obviously something else that I would like to mention when it comes to nutrition and bone health is healthy fats, such as avocado, nuts, seeds, oil, olive oil, and fatty fish. When it comes to supplements, for the longest time, calcium was the first supplements that came to mind. And I would like to say that if dietary intake is insufficient, a supplement can be considered, because we need approximately 1 grams to 1.3 grams of calcium per day, depending on age and health status. And if you are at a point where your gut is not working optimally, when you have a very low appetite, you're aging, you're not capable of training sufficiently, so chances are that taking a supplement in that situation could be beneficial, as splitting doses is much better for absorption. But the reality is that some research has suggested that calcium supplements have a limited impact on bone density and do not significantly reduce the risk of fractures, particularly in individuals who already consume adequate amounts of calcium through their diet. So I normally say food first, supplement second. On top of it, calcium supplements can have some potential side effects. So one is the increased risk of heart disease. So some studies have suggested that calcium supplements might be associated with an increased risk of heart attacks and cardiovascular health, simply because calcium deposits in the arteries. Same reasons, the body may excrete excess calcium through the urine, and that can lead to kidney stone. And also calcium supplements can cause some digestive issues. So some people experience some gastrointestinal problems, such as constipation, bloating, and gas when taking calcium supplements. Also, if we look at food sources versus supplements, calcium from food sources is generally better absorbed and utilized by the body compared to calcium from supplements. And foods rich in calcium also provide other nutrients that help with calcium absorptions and bone health, such as vitamin D, magnesium, protein, all the other things that we have just discussed. Going back to supplements, there are though a few that I really would like you to make sure that you have on your kitchen counter if you're suffering from low bone density, osteopenia, or osteoporosis, or if you haven't had a period for the longest time. So one is vitamin D. The dosage is varies a lot between 600 to 2000 IU per day, and higher doses may be needed if you have a deficiency, but you need to speak with your professional medical provider, nutritionist, dietitian before deciding which dose is the right one for you. Magnesium is another one that I normally invite women to take, simply because we don't get enough through foods, and it's the first one to get out of our system when we really need it. I'm a big fan of magnesium glycinate or bisglycinates, or sometimes citrate if you're experiencing constipation. And vitamin K works synergistically with vitamin D and calcium to help direct calcium into the bones. Another one that I think that it's a game changer is omega-3. It helps to reduce inflammations, and that can be beneficial for bone health. And I would like to see approximately 1 grams to 2 grams combined of EPA and DHA daily. There are also another couple of supplements that sometimes I do suggest women to take when they are at the point of osteopenia or when they come to me and they're already suffering from osteoporosis. One is boron, very minimal doses of boron, and the other one is strontium. When it comes to lifestyle and exercise and bone health, I'm a big proponent of weight-bearing exercises and also resistance training. When I mention weight-bearing exercising, I'm obviously discussing walking, dancing, and weightlifting, and resistance training is pretty much the same. So weightlifting, body weight exercises, resistance band exercises, and if you can lift some weights, please go ahead and do so. You need protein, you need to lift weight because we want to age with strength and vitality, not only with grace. But something else that is really important to me and very close to my heart is making sure that you're also working on your balance and flexibility exercises, because we want not only to support your bone health, but also decrease the risk of falls and fractures. So yoga is a good one, Pilates as well, stabilize your core muscles, Tai Chi to really learn the slow movements. And also something else that is important is our grip strength. So just go to the kitchen, open a jar and see if you have the strength to do so. And if you don't, then I would really recommend you to work on your grip strength. And how can you do that? Start lifting things. And that in the beginning can be grocery bags, and then can be weights, and then heavy weights, and so on and so forth. Obviously, avoid smoking and limit alcohol as much as you can, and manage stress, which is easier said than done. But we have seen studies that show the massive impact that stress can have on bone health. We have seen women going from osteopenia to osteoporosis when nothing else changed in their life, but they were simply going through a lot of stress, a lot of grief, and that was not work through. So if you're finding yourself in a situation where you cannot manage stress with meditation, mindfulness, deep breathing, and hobbies that promote relaxation, just make sure that you speak with someone, that you get the proper help, because chronic stress and chronic pain can impact hormonal balance, cognitive function, and increase your chances of falling and getting injured. And now, last but not least, I really would like to discuss two things that are normally not considered. And if you're wondering, can I take the pill to support my bone health? The reality is that if you are between the age of 20 and 30, I would really recommend you not to do so, but to get your period back. And when it comes to hormone replacement therapy, especially the bioidentical, my answer is going to change slightly, but if you are, once again, between the age of 20 to 35, I would seriously say just do whatever you can to get your period back without using any Band-Aid medication. So how can you find out if you are progressing the right way and if you are supporting your bone health in the right way? So first of all, you can get a DEXA scan, but DEXA scan, they use radiations. They can be very incorrect depending on where you go, and you can do it only once every couple of years. So if you're sticking to the DEXA scan, maybe because it's refundable or because your doctor is asking you to do so, make sure that you always go to the same practice, and if you can, always ask for the same radiologist. It's really important that they're using the same machines. They have different machines to do the DEXA scan. And then if you're measuring your bone health in different machines, you're going to get different results. Also, whenever you go for a DEXA scan, make sure that they measure the exact same body part, because sometimes they do measure the hip femur on the left leg, but not in the right leg. And sometimes they mention the overall hip. So it's really important to have the same markers so that you can understand if you're progressing or if your bone health is decreasing, before you have to wait for an additional couple of years. If instead you are in a country where eco lights are available, I would definitely advise you to get scanned by an eco light. Eco lights are different because they're not using radiation. They are using basically they're like an ultrasound, and they not only measure your bone density, they also measure your fragility. the fragility score of your bone, which is possibly something that you've never heard of, because when we have a DEXA scan, we basically find out if we have osteoporosis and osteopenia. But there are women that have the same level of osteoporosis that have very fragile bones, and they don't know about it until they get a proper echo-lys. The other cool things about getting scanned by an echo-lys is that you can retest every 6 months because they are not using radiations, so that you can actually implement changes or get wake-up calls before it's too late. If you're now wondering, is that safe for me to jump on medications that can help with bone health? And some of them that you may have heard of is like, for example, Prolia. And I'm not a big fan of them because they come with huge side effects. So if you were approximately 75 and you were in a state where you could not exercise, your gut was impacted, you couldn't have proper meals throughout the day, your protein levels is extremely small, you're dehydrated on most days, then I would say, okay, let's assess which type of medication is better for you, and you have to do so with the help of a medical provider. But if you can avoid it at all costs, I would definitely say just give yourself the best chance to support your bone health without going down the path of using medications. And last but not least, one really cool thing that doctors are not screening for is actually your capacity to remodel the bones. And how do you find out if you have the capacity of actually building new bones is by doing a simple blood test. There are 2 markers that you can actually check, that you can screen, that are gonna give you an idea if genetically you can remodel your bones, or if you are in a state due to lifestyle situation or dietary situations where those markers are suppressed and you don't have the capacity to remodel your bones. So these informations are really important, because when you find out if you're in a place where you can support your bones, you have better chances of actually taking actions. And if instead you find out that you cannot do it on your own, or what you have tried until now is not working, then once again, that can be a wake-up call to actually work with someone that can help you to get to the next level. Alrighty, so I hope that this video was super useful for all of you. If you want to work with someone that is well-versed in hypothalamic amenorrhea, fertility, hormonal health, and bone health, and also chronic pain, please make sure to send me a message or book a call with me. I really appreciate all of you. I love you. And if you can, just subscribe to my channel so that you can help me as well. Thank you so much. Bye for now.